Well, this was my big break. This was right at where the crunch was happening. So this is an important piece of advice. So I turned down
Chris here, Keystone Lawn and Tree Care. Thanks for joining us today. We have a special guest, Blake from Post Falls, Idaho. Here on my YouTube channel, I really like to meet with folks that have just gotten started, and that's really my passion. Is I really like helping people out. I like talking with other people that are in the industry and finding out what's going on in their business. Why did they get started? But you know, before we get to all that stuff, we're sitting here in front of F-14 Tomcat in Blake's basement, and we're just talking about our hobbies, and that's actually how we met, was through our hobbies. Right. And Blake, tell me a little bit about your hobby here behind us.
Well, it took me quite a bit to make this a part of my hobby, but well, I've got my kiddos, and I would take them out to the arcades, and I figured, well, I can probably bring that home. So I started doing that. I started bringing the arcade home, and so now I've got several arcades, and yeah, and how we met, I posted one for sale. It turned out to be a lemon, I guess.
But no, the Operation Wolf turned out really good.
Oh yeah, I want that back, by the way. Anytime you're ready.
Yeah, the Operation Wolf is cool. We just do this for fun. It's our hobby. I thought we'd talk a little bit about it, just to kind of show a little bit about who we are. Also, you may have seen in the past that I too like these arcades, and I have collected a boxed version of Contra for the Nintendo, and it's even got if I open it up here, you can see it's even got the box here, and it's even got the instruction booklet in here. So this is just kind of a fun hobby that I like to do. I like to collect these things, and obviously Blake here behind us likes to collect pinball and arcade stuff. So anyway, that's just kind of a fun hobby, just kind of icebreaker. But really, let's get into it. Let's talk a little to Blake. Blake, how long have you been in business?
I think I started around August, year before last. So I've been in business for almost 2 years now.
2 years now.
So this August will be 2 years.
What made you decide to get into this business on your own?
I've been doing it on and off. This has been my main profession for over 10 years now. It's just what I've always fell back on. It's what I have the most experience in, and just at a certain point, once my family grew and my experience and my knowledge grew, I had to decide it was time for me to grow as well.
Yeah, that's kind of a familiar thing, is that you work for somebody for many years, you get a lot of experience, and you think, hey, you know what, I want to try this on my own, and and that's really common, and I think that's great. It takes a lot of nerve, a lot of guts to get out there on your own and to start a new business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just, what actually happened is I did hurt my back, which kind of fell me out of the profession for a while. So I tried a few other things that were kind of mundane, just anything to keep going. And, call it anything else, just the universe, everything said, no, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You know what you're supposed to do. So I went out and picked up a pickup truck, and immediately, how I started doing dump runs. And then I picked up a weed eater. So that was my first piece of equipment, was a weed eater. Went out and did some weed eating jobs. And then I got a large cleanup, and it just kept going that way. Yeah. So sure. Just one step at a time.
All right. So you said you got a pickup truck and a weed eater were your first tools that you got. Now, how did that grow, and how did you get into lawn mowing?
So I didn't, for any advice out there, I didn't go all out on the truck. I found something affordable to get the job done. Like I said, with the dump run, started with that. The whip I did spend a little bit on, so I did save up for that whip, because I realized right off the bat I didn't want to buy equipment that wasn't going to follow through with the
fall apart,
become an issue, maintenance issue. So after that, I was continuously doing any odd jobs I could find on Facebook. People would say, hey, I need this rock moved or anything like that, and so I picked up a shovel, did anything I had to do. Then I had to do, where it really picked up was right at the end. So there might be a moment, if you're looking for advice in what happens when you start a company. there might be a moment when it's like, okay, this is getting rough. It's just this is. There's gonna be a moment where you're gonna have to hang on and really
Yeah,
push it.
it's a hard just starting out. You don't know what your
I
next
was
job is. You don't know
yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, I was way out of my element. I ended up scraping paint off of an overhang, and I'm right in the shade, and it's kind of be like 100 degrees out, and I remember, I don't know if we, well, I remember getting a text from my wife saying, maybe we need to do something else, and I'm up there, and I'm like,
This
like,
sucks.
yeah, and now I get a text like that, and so, but I just kept going. I said, no, I'm not going to stop. Um, and that job there turned into several jobs. They wanted me to come back and tear down a wall and start doing these things. Well, this was my big break. This was right at the where the crunch was happening. So this is an important piece of advice. So I tore down this wall between the building I was working on and the building next to it, and I realized that behind the wall there was a large unkept area and a bunch of trash, a bunch of pipes, and stuff that possibly they wanted removed. And so I had to get up the nerve to go over there.
Sell yourself or
Yes.
talk? Yeah.
Yeah, I really kind of went back and forth, and I thought, maybe I'll just leave it alone. Maybe I'll just get rid of the trash. Maybe I won't ask them if they need anything done, because it was a business, and I don't know, something just clicked, and I just went over and did it. And I walked in the business, had no idea what it was. I didn't look or anything, and I said, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm just next door, and I'm working, and I noticed that there's some things I can remove, and you have this area behind the building that I can just take down for you." She asked me how much it would cost, and that was part of the job there, where I was like,
you don't know when you first get started. You don't know what it's going to cost.
Well, I had my hourly rate in mind, and I'm still doing that. But it's hard to, when you're getting started, it's hard to hold to that, because you don't want to lose anything.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah.
So, but it's important to
You don't want
kind
to
of
sell yourself short either.
Right. So
You don't
I
want to work for free.
So I didn't. I said the amount, and she said, "Okay, great, go ahead and do it." So I was very happy about that. I took a picture for her, so she knew it was, she could tell it was all done. She was very impressed, and I went back in there, and she said, "Do you know who we are?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Oh, we're a property management company." And
Okay.
She goes, "Do you do this? Do you do this for
You're like,
yourself?"
yeah.
I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And she goes, "Great, we need somebody." And so that was my big break. That's when all the customers started coming in, and then other people. Yeah, so I can get into more about how.
I started real similar when I first got started. I was just doing anything. I didn't even have a truck at that point, man. I was just doing anything I could to make ends meet. I was painting trim on houses and stuff. I was doing dump runs. I was just doing anything I could to get going. I was cleaning gutters, and then after you kind of get a couple customers, you think, okay, well, maybe I'm going to narrow it down. Did you have that point where you're saying, I'm not going to get up on the awning and like do any more scraping? You're like, you know what? I'm just going to start focusing on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it got to the point during this whole crunch time. I found myself on that property, and I thought I could handle it. I was just out of my element. I had to tape up or staple a bunch of new insulation into the roof, and I just I couldn't do it. For one, I couldn't fit up there. It was way too hot.
It's like 120 degrees at least.
It was ridiculous. No more. Once I found myself out of my element is when I started worrying a little bit. But it's important though to stay in your element.
Yeah. Do what you know.
I'm after a year and a half. I'm still more dedicated to even doing that more this year.
Staying in your element. So if somebody calls you up and says, "Hey, I want you to do some light painting," what are you going to say to that?
No, I absolutely not.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of the idea.
Not what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're finding your target audience. You're starting to identify what you're good at, and you're starting to kind of bring it together. Because I was in the same boat. I was doing anything I could to make a buck. I remember having one of those moments where I was more of a handyman than I was a lawn mowing guy. I went in this little old lady's house, and she wanted me to help her fix with her door and her door jamb, and it wasn't quite shutting right, and then I had to line up the strike, and I didn't really know anything about that, but I figured I could figure it out. But it took me way too long, to put in this door jam, this door frame, get the things to line up, and then in the end, and then also then she's like, well, can you do my sliding door? Sliding with my sliding door, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I
I've
can
been
do
there.
it
I've been there.
because I'm like, I need the money, and I got a couple little kids at home,
I remember that,
and so. And I kind of screwed it up. Like I'm going back and forth with the slider, and I made a mistake, and so I had to call a like a door company, like the Pella window door people, and one of their technicians came out and gave me a hand actually to finish the job because it was in pretty bad shape, and I didn't know how to get the sliding door thing to work.
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, I'm way out of my element, and I here with the sliding door and the door jams, like I'm not a handyman, and that's when I started to narrow it down. I was like, you know what, I did lawn mowing years and years and years ago when I was in college, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna narrow it in. I'm gonna get out of the handyman job business, and I'm gonna start mowing lawns. And I had one of those moments also.
When I thought that's how it was going to work out for me. As a matter of fact, I still have the structure in my mind on how I want to do it. But if I could tell you what I've learned over the past year and a half, is that I've got so much more to learn. It's really the list is longer of how much I need to learn, as opposed to even with 10 years of working for other people.
And stuff you just don't know that you don't know.
If you're working for a property management company, you feel that your quality is in these properties. So let's say a sprinkler, let's say you've got this dry area or something it's just not working out. You don't want that to reflect on you.
Yeah.
They're expecting this to be handled.
It's not really in your wheelhouse, but it sort of is.
Yeah.
I
and
understand what you're saying.
They can call somebody else, or
Yeah.
but there's another thing too. Is maybe the water needs to be turned down. Maybe the water needs to be turned up. Maybe the sprinklers need to be adjusted. Now, for all of these little things, are you going to keep telling them that you need somebody else to fix these things, or are you going to fix them?
Yeah.
Are you going to change the timers? Are you going to figure out? So sprinklers came into the picture.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as any problems came up, that was something you want to learn how to handle.
Yeah, and that might be maybe your first lane that you might widen. Maybe you're mowing lawns. You've identified that you want to mow lawns, and you're focusing on that. But you're right, things come up. Sprinkler work is really popular in this area. People are really crazy about their irrigation sprinkler. And you're right. When you got a big dead brown spot out in the yard, it kind of reflects poorly upon you, and you take some ownership of the property, and you're like, I want to fix this.
Yes.
But it's kind of a slippery slope, and then you get into that stuff that maybe you don't know, and maybe you should hire somebody to help you do that, or you could do it yourself. And there's a whole bunch of learning.
Luckily, I've had somebody with me to guide me, help me out.
Yeah. Learning
all that stuff. But I mean, there's still a ton to learn there, and the list goes on. I mean. Yeah, it's there's if you think that you have all the knowledge to jump into it, and I'm just going to mow, that might be possible, but maybe if you're dealing with just residential customers that have called you, hey, and then you can say, hey, I think you need to get somebody for the sprinklers over here, or I can call somebody for you to swing over. It's always good to have somebody. Hey, I can have somebody fix this for you.
Yeah, that's important to really network yourself in the community and being able to talk to a sprinkler guy. I remember when I first got started, I had that same issue. I'm mowing and I find this dead spot, and I'm like, oh man, it looks bad. I don't really know that much about sprinklers, but I could probably fix the sprinkler head. But luckily at the time I had a friend who I was able to call, and he kind of came over and kind of did the same thing, kind of helped me show it. And at first I just called him the sprinkler guy, and I'm like, yeah, we'll just have the sprinkler guy do it. And then, I would be there over his shoulder watching and kind of learning this thing. And that's kind of what happened to me as I was mowing lawns, and my lane grew a little bit wider, and I got into sprinklers. I try to stay away from sprinklers because it's just I think it should be now. I think it's a dedicated business, or it could be an arm of your business. Yeah, if you break a sprinkler head, certainly you have to take the ownership and fix a sprinkler head, or at least call your buddy who knows how to fix a sprinkler head and come over and do it. Yeah. But it's just a big jump, just going from mowing to that. It could be another arm. And same thing with, like, say, fertilizing, for example. Exactly. Fertilizing and turf care is another big thing. But again, if you don't really know it, or if you're not licensed to do it, it can be another big jump. So making these pivots or staying straight, it's tough.
Yeah, I've started talking to a company that I worked for to handle any spraying that I need done, because I mean that's a huge part too. Is that's there's so much to get done on these properties, and really just walking in like, well, I'm just going to mow and blow and whip and go.
Yeah.
It's well, not if you're responsible for the property looking nice, and
Yeah.
you don't want to be the person saying you have a problem at this property, you have a problem at this property, you have a problem at this property, and you know, so you start to want to fix all those things. But I mean, I've worked for companies that would contract, you know, subcontract
Yeah.
all sprinkler work out, which is,
Yeah.
is smart. I would.
I started
wouldn't mind
doing
that.
a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, it's spraying, so which is that's coming in handy. I'm hoping to. I'll probably call them for a meeting to talk about what I can do for all my properties and have them handle that. So if you want to weed an area, you know, and not have somebody else do it for you, then you better go get your spray tech license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you do? Say, well, what I do. I'll just say what I do here is that I started lawn mowing, and then like I said, that next lane was sprinkler work. But I didn't really want to get into that because I felt like it was another whole can of worms I didn't want to open. So I had a friend do it. But I wanted to remain the main contact for the customer. I wanted to be the main person, right? So I would control the billing. I thought that was important for my business because someday maybe I will go into sprinklers, or maybe someday I will go do this or I'll do that. So when I first got started, it was lawn mowing. Well, actually, it was first handyman, and then narrowed it down to lawn mowing. And then it started to go over here to sprinklers, and then it started to go over here to fertilizing. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to be the main on this. And snow work too. That was another thing, you know, snow plowing. I didn't have a snow plow at the time, but I wanted to remain the main person because I was mowing their lawn. So I would take the money and I would subcontract it out. I would subcontract the sprinkler guy, I would do the fertilizing guy, and I would do the snow plow guy. And then as my business grew over the last 10 years, I've been able to get my spray license, and then so I'm able to take that business back. I did buy a snow plow a couple years ago, so I was able to take that snow plow business back. And then the sprinkler guy, I still have a sprinkler guy over here that I have subcontracted, and I pay him, and then, you know, the customer pays me. But maybe someday I'm going to get into irrigation work, but I'm just laying the foundation. What do you think about something like that?
Well, actually, I learned that from you. We had a discussion.
Thanks.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So as I was trying to explain my knowledge, I actually, now it's coming back. Yeah, I learned that from you. So I'm actually going to be implementing that this year better, I hope.
Yeah.
You know, now I have a game plan. I even looked up, you know, the right way to do it. You know, you wouldn't want to say, hey, can you come spray this for me? And then I'm going to have that company show up on a property. Now I'm going to charge more so I can get paid some for doing that connection work. What I've learned about a bit of morals about that is, well, you want to have an amount of properties, and then you can present that to a company that handles it, and then you can say, you know, hey, if I give you all of these properties to handle these sprays, and we can do it like contract, can you give me a discount, and then I charge your price?
Yeah.
So that way, you know, because you don't want to
Yeah,
overcharge for another company
exactly
showing up.
same
That's just
thing.
not right. So
Yeah.
so lots to learn. I mean, really, it's a
Yeah.
lot of complex stuff, but
Yeah, this is good.
it's coming
All right.
together.
It is coming together. All right.
I expect this year's going to be good.
Yeah, good. All right, hey, thanks for joining us. You know, if you guys are getting anything out of this video, I want you to be sure and hit the old like button, subscribe below, and make a comment below. Talk about your favorite part of the video, what you've learned in your first year, and so that, you know, I wish these sort of things were available to me when I was first getting started, because I've made a ton of mistakes, and I don't want you guys out there in YouTube land to make these same mistakes that I have. I want you guys to be successful, and that's why we're talking with Blake today about some of the things that we've learned. You know, we've talked about, you know, when we first got started, gosh, we did anything for $1, and then we found that, you know, I don't want to do that. I want to narrow it into lawn mowing. And then even when we're lawn mowing, we start to drift over here, and we start to drift over here into some unknown territory, which maybe someday we'll do, but not now. So that's one thing that we've learned. You know, what are some things in your first year that you've learned that maybe you want to share with somebody out there so that they can be successful?
Well, before I get to that, I do want to say to promote your videos. If anybody's watching, you got to check out more of Chris's videos, because
Thanks.
I mean, this is I've looked up, you know, I'm trying to find the information that I need to be successful, and I mean, I've really looked, and I've looked, and I keep finding videos of just people mowing, and you know, they put the music behind it, and they're just running up and down. that's nice. It's it's a satisfying watch to watch all the trimming happening, and people just run up and say, well, this is this much, this is this much, and I made this much, and it's really no information. I've gotten more information in a 15-minute, like just a short amount of time watching your videos than I've seen anybody come out with. So if,
Well,
you, if
thanks,
you're
man.
not, yeah, absolutely. if you're missing that information, you're actually trying to get started, you got to check out the rest. But
Well, that's awesome. Why don't you share with the guys what you've learned, and some of the maybe a dumb story that you did and you don't want anybody to do, and what you're not, how you're going to do it differently this coming year.
I can, well, what I've learned is compared to really honestly, it's how much I've learned, how much I don't know, and that's the process. I think a good I do have a structure that I'm gonna shoot for this year. If you'd like to hear about that.
Yeah, go on.
So this was my game plan originally, and I think that it's a good structure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, what's important is to get a good full route. I mean, it's just you out there, get your route full. Get a strong mowing route. If it's 4 days a week, and then you got the fifth day for extra stuff or maintenance and that sort of thing. Maybe an install. That might even run into Saturday or even Sunday. Get ready to get busy. So what I would like to do is I would like to have a good strong mowing route. I mean, really, I don't mind 10 hours a day. I can't speak for everybody, but just if I can get that set, I would really like to hire somebody to come along with me on that route, get them situated on that route. And once I know that they can handle that route, I'm not adding yet. I'm just getting him situated on that route. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start another route while he's handling this route that I know that I can handle by myself. And once I get that, I start building on this route, and I'm going to try to make a second route just as full. And then my goal is to hire somebody again to add to his crew. So then I'll have a 2-man crew and me out there again. See, now I can pass some of that what I've built over to that crew. Mm-hmm. And then I want to build my route up again, and I'm just going to keep repeating that.
Now, how are you going to do that? Are you doing, like, you mentioned Facebook earlier? Are you doing any kind of advertising? Like, how are you going to get to that goal?
I recommend advertising. I have done zero advertising. It's all been word of mouth up here for me, which is it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah,
actually.
That's pretty common.
I mean,
that's what it is.
Really, reputation is everything.
Yeah.
Be efficient. You don't, when you get on the scene, get the job done.
Yeah, you can't be outside smoking break and just like fooling around.
No,
I mean, you just show up
not.
And you work your tail off.
Yeah, no
you're
standing
dependable.
Around. Yeah, and people see that and they say, see, the goal is to have more work, not. You don't want to drag out you don't want to drag out a single job. You want to be able to compress these jobs, get them done efficiently, get them done well, so that the word gets out. You know what? They're, the cost is down because they're getting it done efficiently. Let me get the word out.
Yeah.
Then the word,
that's important.
More work is better.
Yeah, have your processes down for sure is really important. You're gonna want to the people are not just buying lawn mowing. They're buying like a dependable service that shows up every week. They do a good job, and they look good. They don't look like they just got out of prison or something, or they just woke up, or whatever. And they look good. They're doing good work. And you're right, that goes a really long way. And the word of mouth is tremendous, because I don't advertise really at all. I mean, I have a website, for a static website. Static means it doesn't change. I just have a website out there so people can find me. The word of mouth, say, hey, call Keystone, and they look it up online, and then bam, they find you. So that's important. But now, I guess what I'm getting at is, like, give me Blake, give me like 2 or 3 steps. How are you going to grow your business this year? Like, give me some concrete things. What are you going to do this year to get from 25 or 30 clients to 50 or 60 clients? What are you going to do?
This year I am advertising. Actually, this coming week I'm scheduled to meet with somebody that can help me make my emblem, and so that way I can put it on my truck and that sort of thing. I mean, I've got nothing on my truck. I've had people just stop by and say, hey, what are you doing? I need help over here. So if I'm getting that attention, a little bit of advertising, I think it's going to go a long way. So I'm definitely advertising this year. Another thing too is if I want to fill up my schedule quick, I have some management companies in mind that I'm going to be stopping by here shortly, maybe next week, and I believe that will help increase, fill up that space. So yeah, advertising and going out and finding them.
Yeah, now that's important. Those are some good concrete things that you're going to do this year. You're going to advertise. May that be getting a logo together, and maybe putting something on the door of your truck, or getting a sign to put on the racks on the side of the truck. That's a good concrete thing to do. And then being able to identify a market, like a niche market, like property management, and you're going to go attack that. So those are two really good pieces of advice out there. If you're first getting started and you don't know like what to do, this is some good stuff. And Blake, how long have you been in business? You said about 1.5 years now.
Yeah, this August will be 2 years.
Okay, so it's still about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. So this is like real stuff here. We're talking about, we're just getting started. Blake's just getting started virtually in this first year, and again, we're trying to identify a target market. Now and you got your target market is property management folks, and my target market when I first got started was senior citizens, upper class senior citizens that have the disposable income to spend. And it sounds like you've identified a pretty good market too, the property management folks, and it's business to business. This kind of gets me into another subject is pricing. I worked with the property management folks before in the past too, and I always felt like I wanted to give them a deal. Like I wanted to really capture their business, and I wanted to give them a deal. But somebody later pointed out is like, you don't give businesses
I have a little advice for that.
A deal. Yeah, why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Make sure your cup is full so that way you can share the overflow. There's a lot of people I'd like to help out there, veterans, senior citizens, and that sort of thing. One thing that is really rewarding about doing this, something that you can kind of be proud of is people call you because sometimes they can't, and so they've got a problem and they need your help to solve it. So that's always appreciated, to be able to be in that position to help. But first, make sure your cup is full so that overflow, then start giving back to the community. It's only going to help. I'm actually looking forward to being able to give back to the community. I've worked for companies that have given back to the community. Literally asked the employees, hey, we're doing some volunteer work, who can I count on? And, there we were.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that eventually, but
yeah,
make
so
sure
no discounts for your lawn mowing company, and especially in the business-to-business world, there's no discounts yet. That's some really good advice. Make sure your cup is full before you go off. All right, hey, thanks for joining us today. Again, if you're getting anything out of this video, we want you to hit the like, subscribe, and comment below. And we're going to kind of wrap things up. I know we've got a lot of cool stuff to talk about, and maybe I want to do this again. I'd like to invite myself over.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, you can show me these other. It's got some other games over there in the other room. You can show me. Maybe we'll set up over there next time. But you guys, really, we're having a lot of fun here. And my goal, and I guess now Blake's goal, we want you to be successful out there. We want you to watch these videos. You got to hit the like button so it hits the algorithm, and we can share it with more people out there. Because I think we got some important stuff to say. We've talked a lot about like how we got started. How did we narrow it in, and how did we got out of our lane, and how do we advertise when you're first getting started? Some maybe you don't have a lot of money. What to do, and that might be something we can talk about next time. Is like you're on a budget and you don't know what to go. So stay tuned for our next video, and until then, we're going to sign off. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.